So what's going on, guys? Here in front of me is the US 30 chart, and as mentioned previously, we had this uptrend here, and we saw a retest of this trend line a couple of times, and now we broke this trend line to retest these levels here that acted previously as a resistance line and quite a couple of times as a support line. Here we rallied after retesting this area here. Here we fell a little bit lower, but didn't change the fact that we went higher after it. Now, what I also want to mention is that we had here a movement where we broke this trend line here, or if we just quickly get rid of this one, we could use this trend line where we broke to retest this area here, this support line rather. So something similar what's happened now, where we are here falling lower, and then maybe we might rally again and then pull back to the downside again, which is something that we saw here. So as I said, we retested this support line. We are now seeing a move to the upside to this area here, and we could again follow here, see a turnaround, uh, fall to kind of these levels or maybe even lower as we did here, which could maybe be in this area here, and then see a turnaround from there, which means if we manage to pull back once more, which also could be here, kind of pattern, smaller version of this right shoulder, which means we could here see an uptrend again. Now, if we add some indicators, so here we almost hit the 200 EMA, but we didn't quite hit it yet. And usually, as we saw here, when we came closer to the 200 EMA, we rallied kind of to form here double top, and then we pulled lower once more, and we pulled a little bit lower than previously, which is something that could happen here, which would mean that the second time we could retest the 200 EMA, which would be this area shown previously, so this line here. Now if we the CCI, maybe the stochastics, or let's go with the stochastic one now. So here we are kind of going back and forth here in the middle. So if we are in the middle of either of those indicators, it usually means that we could go either way as well, since the indicator or the indications are not that clear for now. So keeping that in mind, if we just change the stochastic real quick to the MACD, for example, so here we are below the zero levels. Of course, we could here see a turnaround and go higher, but at the same time we could here see a double low, looking at the MACD, which could be something like this. Maybe we could turn around and then go lower again, because usually when the MACD is low on the US 30, we see a turnaround to the upside. But sometimes what can happen is that we see a couple of waves here on the MACD and go lower, but this means that we would have to break the 200 EMA, which happens from time to time, like here last year back in March due to COVID. But usually we manage to stay at least above the 200 EMA and go higher from there. Now, for now, the 1 hour chart is kind of here. We crossed the 200 EMA for now. So if we take here these, so if we take this range here, it looks like we will here see the movement that we did here, but just reversed, which means here back and forth. So what I would still wait for is either you wait until we go higher and short the market, or you wait for a second dip and then be a buyer here. So for me, it looks like we will likely see a turnaround to the downside and then move higher from there. So for now, I would be patient and I would wait for the, because here we are at the 50-day EMA, we might get rejected. So this would be my point where I'm still waiting and waiting for the market to pull back. So this was the analysis for US 30. Now we take a look at the S&P 500. If I can manage to find it, I guess it is well, I guess this one is it, or are they all the same? I'm not quite sure. Let's go with this one. Yeah, this one I used last time. So here again, I think here we retested the 100 EMA. If just quickly go in for this one, yeah, here we tested the 100 EMA, which happens sometimes. Here we saw a similar dip where the CCI was pretty low as it is right now at the 100 EMA. The only difference is that the MACD here stayed above the zero level, so just barely fell below it, but here we are quite lower, which might indicate that we will here see a pullback maybe to the 200 EMA, so another pullback to turn around. But at the same time, if we manage to see a crossover here looking at the MACD, as we did here back in November last year and October, after retesting the 100 EMA levels, which would be here and here, we suddenly saw a rally to the upside, which could mean that we will continue this trend. However, if we go back and look a little bit further, we well, usually what happens is we see a continuation. Sometimes we see bigger moves, but this rarely happens. So for now, if this cross here on the MACD comes into play, I would be willing to be a buyer. Now maybe going down to the weekly. Here we retested the 20 EMA, and usually we don't fall much lower, but again we could here see a double retest like we did here, which means we could come here to this support line once more, and this is then where I would be a buyer. But at the same time, taking a look at the 4-hour chart, so here we saw across the MACD, and we are above, well, basically all 4 EMAs. So chances are we will here go higher. Now, if we see here a rejection by this resistance line and go lower, I would then be a buyer here at the lower or at the previous lows. Looking at the 1 hour chart, well, here it seems like we, since we are here above all EMAs as well. We might consider to go higher from here, but if we then manage to turn around, I would be a buyer. So because this chance here to buy was obviously a great one, but we might see a second pullback. Now taking a look at Nasdaq as well, or rather, which one is it that I forgot?